Fonseca and Alex Eala. Are we going to see them only on center court out there?
Yes.
Something happened at the Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open, and for a few seconds, the world stopped watching tennis. Not because of a highlight reel winner, not because of a controversial line call, not because of anything you'd normally expect from a professional match, but because a young girl collapsed on the court, and one player made a choice in less than a heartbeat that changed everything. That player was Alexandra Eala. And what she did next is exactly why millions of people, many of whom have never watched a single second of tennis, found themselves frozen, emotional, and unable to look away. Before we get to that moment, you have to understand the setting. Because where this happened matters. Linz is not a Grand Slam city. This isn't the global spectacle of Melbourne or New York. This is something different. This is a grind. The Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open is an indoor hard-court battlefield where players come to fight for every ranking point, every opportunity, every inch of progress in their careers. There's no hiding here, no easy matches, no shortcuts. It's the kind of tournament where you earn everything the hard way. And that week, you could feel it. From the very first match, there was an intensity in the air, a pressure building inside the arena. Every rally mattered. Every point carried weight. And right in the middle of it all was Alexandra Eala, arriving with momentum, confidence, and growing belief. Her game was clicking. Her presence was rising. Everything pointed toward a strong run. But then, in a single moment, everything changed. Because sometimes, the biggest stories in sports have nothing to do with the score. They happen when the game stops, and humanity takes over. Ranked inside the top 50, Alexandra Eala arrived at the Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open with real momentum. She had already taken down Julia Grabher in the opening round, and you could feel it, her focus, her hunger, her belief. She wasn't just participating in Linz. She was pushing, climbing, fighting her way through a stacked draw like a player who knows she belongs. But here's the part most people watching from home never think about. While the cameras follow the players, their coaches, their physios, their teams, there's another group out there. Unseen, uncelebrated. The ball kids. Teenagers standing on that same court for hours. Sprinting when called upon. Freezing into position between points. Moving with precision, discipline, and silence. They are trained to disappear. To exist in the background of someone else's story. And on that afternoon in Linz, one of them couldn't stay invisible anymore. The match was tight, intense. Every point mattered. The kind of atmosphere where the silence between rallies feels heavy, where you can hear every footstep, every breath. Eala was locked in, focused, competing at full intensity. And then something shifted. In the corner of the court, a young ball girl began to sway. For a split second, no one reacted. Then she collapsed. The sound that followed wasn't applause. It wasn't chatter. It was a gasp. Sharp, sudden, collective. Thousands of people realizing at the exact same moment that this was no longer just a tennis match. This was real. And like always, the instinct of the crowd kicked in. Eyes turned toward the officials, the umpire, the system. Because that's how it works. That's the protocol. That's what's supposed to happen. But Alexandra Eala didn't wait. She didn't look for permission. She didn't hesitate. Her racket dropped behind her, and she was already moving. A full sprint across the court before the echo of that gasp had even faded. In that moment, tennis disappeared. The competition vanished. Nothing else mattered. The arena fell into a silence so deep, so complete, it felt almost unreal. The kind of silence that only happens when people are witnessing something they don't yet understand, but know is important. The cameras found her instantly, and what they captured stayed with everyone watching. Eala dropped to her knees beside the girl. No panic, no confusion, just presence. She wrapped her arms around her, helped her sit up, spoke softly, her entire focus locked onto one thing, making sure that child was okay. Not performative concern. Not a quick check before stepping away. She was there. Fully. Completely. She didn't just stop the match. She stopped everything that didn't matter. And she wasn't done. Recognizing the danger, she carefully guided the girl away from the exposed part of the court, away from the lights, the heat, the pressure, and toward the safety of the players' bench. Step by step, staying with her, not leaving her side. In a sport built on individual focus, where everything revolves around winning points and maintaining rhythm, Alexandra Eala chose something else. She chose a person over the moment. And that's why the world didn't look away. She didn't hesitate. Alexandra Eala reached for her own water, carefully lifting it to the girl's lips. She used her towel to cool her down. She stayed right there beside her, steady, calm, present. She didn't leave, because in those moments, before the medical team arrives, time stretches. Every second feels heavier. And for someone frightened, lying on the ground, those seconds can feel endless. Eala made sure the girl didn't spend a single one of them alone. What the cameras captured during that wait wasn't dramatic. It wasn't staged. It wasn't a performance. It was something far more powerful. A 20-year-old from the Philippines, sitting on a court in Linz, holding a scared child's hand, speaking softly, making sure she felt seen, making sure she knew she mattered, that she wasn't invisible, that someone cared. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't look around. She just moved. And the entire world watched. When the medical team finally rushed in and took control, Alexandra Eala stepped back. But even then, she didn't return to the match. She didn't grab her racket. She didn't reset. She stayed nearby, eyes locked on the girl, her face tight with concern, waiting, needing to see for herself that everything was going to be okay. And when the girl was finally helped off the court, the entire arena rose. Inside the design center Linz, the sound that followed wasn't about tennis. It was something deeper, a roar of recognition, of respect, of emotion, because everyone in that building understood what they had just witnessed. Only after that wave passed, only after the moment settled, did Eala walk back, pick up her racket, and somehow step back into the intensity of a professional match. But to truly understand why this moment resonated across the world, you have to understand who she is. Alexandra Eala isn't just a rising player. She's 20 years old. She carries the expectations of an entire nation. She trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy, a place built not just on technique, but on values instilled by Rafael Nadal himself. Respect, humility, humanity. And in that moment, those lessons weren't theoretical. They were real. They were visible. They were lived. Because what moved her in that split second wasn't strategy. It was something deeper. In Filipino culture, there's a word, malasakit. It doesn't translate perfectly, but it means a deep, instinctive care for others. A responsibility. A compassion that isn't forced, it's natural. And in that instant in Linz, that's what moved her. Before thought, before hesitation, before anything else. And the world saw it. The reaction since then has been overwhelming. Millions of views. People far outside the tennis world sharing the moment, talking about it, feeling it. Because it wasn't about rankings. It wasn't about points. It was about humanity. Voices across tennis, former champions, analysts, insiders have all said the same thing. You can coach technique. You can train fitness. You can build a champion's game. But you cannot teach what Alexandra Eala showed that day. That comes from within. And what makes this story even more powerful is this. She's not just kind. She's dangerous on the court. A top 50 player. A rising force. A competitor who has already taken down big names and is building toward bigger stages like French Open with real belief. Opponents prepare for her now. They study her. They respect her game. But what the world saw in Linz proves something even more important. The competitor and the human being are not separate. They are the same person. And that combination? That's rare. That's special. Some matches are won on the scoreboard. This one wasn't. This one was won somewhere deeper. The Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open will be remembered for great tennis, tough battles, and a stacked field. But above all that, it will be remembered for a moment where none of that mattered. A moment where a young woman from Manila, in the middle of fighting for her career, saw someone in need and chose her. Every single time. No hesitation. No calculation, just care. And in a world that rarely slows down, watching someone stop, kneel, and stay reminded everyone of something important. That this, right here, is what a real champion looks like.